This is a call to order for the Utility Service Board meeting of Monday, August 3rd, 2020. This is the Finance Subcommittee meeting. And there's one item on the agenda, and that is the request recommendation of the 2021 budget. So we shall proceed with that. And who's going to do the presentation?
Presentation for the meeting tonight.
No, the presentation to this subcommittee.
Yes, we don't have a presentation for the subcommittee beyond what we presented the last time. The last time we presented the budget and we talked about the budget memo. We went through some details on the budget memo, and where we left it was we were going to need to make some adjustments to what we presented based on new information that we've gotten, and Laura is prepared to speak to those things, especially the fleet budget that always comes up. But beyond that, it was just to take on any questions that you have at this point prior to making your recommendation to the full board. For the full board, we've got the full-blown presentation ready to roll. So Laura, would you like to comment on any changes that we've made in the last 2 weeks?
Sure. We received late last week the numbers from Fleet. They're not reflected in the budget memo. The amounts totaled over all of the funds, an increase of about $50,000. So we just haven't had time to break it out by department and update the budget. We plan to do that this week. We're still waiting to get additional information from the controller's office on personnel expenses. So what they do is they calculate for the whole city any increases and overtime expenses, and then they load it in the budget themselves. So I've had several conversations with the controller's office about this, but I haven't seen that anything has been put in the budget yet. So once we get those numbers, we'll make the adjustment so that our revenues and our expenditures are the same amount. And we'll have an updated budget memo. And this is not unusual. We sometimes go right up to the end of the process without having this information. So in the budget, we anticipated a 1% increase across the board for personnel. So I don't think it's going to be too far off from that.
So are there any additional questions from the subcommittee members for us on this? You're muted, Megan.
Thank you. I had one question, and forgive me if this was shared at our last subcommittee meeting, but with the governor extending the moratorium to August 14th, and if it were to be extended beyond that, how does that impact our budget for next year? Or does it?
It doesn't really affect our budget amounts very much because we realize our revenue when we bill. But what could happen is if we get severely behind in cash flow, we may not have, while we've realized the revenue, we may not have the cash. So what that would mean would be projects, probably especially on the water side, would be delayed. The things that we're doing out of normal extensions and replacements budget, we might have to delay some of that work.
Okay.
And so it wouldn't affect our revenue so much, but it might push some projects back. It would not affect our ability to operate or pay payroll or any of those other things.
Right, because it eventually will get paid.
Eventually we'll get paid, or we'll have to write it off, but most likely we'll be paid.
Okay, thank you.
And we've been, even though we are not shutting off right now, our collections manager has been working with customers to get them on payment plans. And we also, for the budget for 2021, have increased the customer assistance program from $45,000 to $50,000. We have never come to the ceiling on that budget. That is to say, we haven't had to turn anyone away because we didn't have any funding for it. So, but in anticipation that there will be additional need, we've increased that budget for next year. So that helps as well.
Any other questions for us? Thank you. And I guess what happens next, Chris can probably comment, but what typically happens would be the subcommittee would make a recommendation to the board, and then it would come up at the board meeting at 5 o'clock.
That's exactly right.
So Vic, do you need us to vote on anything in this committee, or we'll vote on it in the major one?
What usually happens is the subcommittee makes a recommendation whether to approve or not, or the subcommittee can make no recommendation at all if they wish, but we would certainly love for you to recommend approval by the full board.
I'll do that. I will unless there's any other questions, I'll recommend it.
I recommend it as well.
There we go. So there's our second.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Great job, you guys, again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If not, are we ready to vote on a recommendation to the full board? All in favor?
So, yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Latrina, do you want to call the roll? I guess that makes it official.
Yes, please. All right. Burnham,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
and Sherman.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I think procedurally, when we go to the actual board meeting, when the item comes up, I think what we usually do is whoever's chairing the board meeting would bring up the item. We would give our presentation, and then the subcommittee would speak to their recommendation prior to the board's asking questions. Is that right, Chris?
As I unmute myself, yes, that works. I don't know that we've always done it exactly like that, but that gets all the pieces in play.
That if we present first, then you're recommending something that everybody just saw rather than something they haven't seen yet. But that's
Right.
up to you all.
That works for me.
Okay, I guess the only other thing on the agenda would be any petitions or communications. Yeah.
Via Facebook.
All right, seeing nothing there, I'll entertain a motion for the subcommittee to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourned, and we'll see you all in about 19 minutes.
Okay.
Sounds good.